It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
How'd that work out for you? Okay. All right.
Welcome, everyone. Another episode of Dart Talk.
Yes, it
June 5th.
June 5th.
2012. Mystery Mark here with Steve Panuncielman. Welcome, everyone, in the chat room around the world. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. I saw
right.
you Sunday at our production meeting.
Yes, our first one of the year.
Our first official, let's get everyone together and hash this out meeting.
We're trying to get organized. It's kind of scary.
Organicized. That's what we need. We need a bureaucracy behind us so that we have no accountability for anything whatsoever. Big show today. We got some news. We got some announcements.
Right.
They updated the North American rankings for the pro players, so
yeah.
We'll mention that. We got a couple of requests to talk about some things, so we'll get to those, eventually.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
If we can find the time.
Just a reminder, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. And I got you some Cosmo
yes,
stuff
you
for your
did.
birthday.
I actually like them.
You like them?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Shameless plug, I
right,
guess.
but that's right.
We should talk about that, though.
Shameless plugs?
Editorial policy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we should really... I got to clear my throat. I'm not sure if we should really start with that. Let's do news.
We should do the disclaimer first. Before we get into
Best co-host in the business.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits.
Okay, let's just cut it in half
there you
today. Yeah. We've all heard it. We'll have to update that. We got some votes that we need to...
Have a new one.
Yeah, and it's... okay. Why not?
All right.
What's one more?
So what do you got for news?
Add it to the pile. Well, I got Sweeble sent Dart Talk an email asking us to tell everybody about a youth shoot in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I don't know how many Utes listen to us in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but I thought, why not mention it? So on June 23rd, starting at 10 a.m., they're going to have basically a youth tournament that looks like it's going to take 2 days. It's going to be at the Cedar Rapids Eagles Club at 1735 11th Street Northwest. They're going to give plaques away to the top three and pay out 100% on all the adults that play in the Luck of the Draw. And they want to thank their sponsors, Hitton Construction, A1 Rental, Novak Electric, the Eagles Club, Sandcott's Garage, Lasso in Antiques and Collectibles. So anybody wants to know more about that, get a hold of Sweeble, or you can. They've got 4 board members here: Becky, Jamie, Shelby, and Ashley. If you can't get a hold of anybody, shoot us an email and I'll forward it along. And we could do it like that because I don't have Sweeble's email address here in front of me. But it's presented by CRKIDS, which I have no idea what that means.
Actual tournament's on the 23rd? It doesn't say when there's a registration or anything?
No, it looks like it starts at 10 a.m. Youth singles, 8 to 10, 301 double out, 11 to 15, 301 double out, no point cricket. That's clean cricket.
Well, it's another way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not dirty.
Right. So hence clean. Anyway, also, I wanted to convey, since we now have some soft tippers listening to us, there's a couple of soft tip things going on that people should be aware of.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
Sure.
First, Shelty Radical Darts is doing a Summer Singles 501 multi-level open. The sign-ups start next week on the 11th and go all the way to July 12th. I'll probably post a flyer on the Dart Talk Facebook page. Basically, they're going to put you in either one of 4 groups, depending on what your points per dart is and stuff like that, and then they count your top 7 or 8 games or something like that. So I'll post a flyer on the Dart Talk Facebook page, and you guys could take a look at that.
Where's that being held?
Well, that's one of these things where it's just you play on the machine, and then it keeps track of all the machines around the world, and then they just sort of compare the scores by computer.
Okay.
So it's one of these online things that is becoming more and more prevalent, apparently. And also in Janesville, Wisconsin, this Saturday is the Darts Live Midwest Kickoff, which apparently starting at noon on Saturday, I don't know what the date is Saturday. Whatever Saturday is, starting at noon, they're going to do
the 11th.
Okay. They're going to do that count.
It's the 10th.
Make up your mind. They're going to do...
or it's the 9th.
Yeah, starting at noon, they're going to do this count-up thing that we talked about.
Right.
Where it's kind of like around the world with 3 extra darts at the bull, but every dart is worth more than the next. So if you don't miss late, you end up getting, I don't know, 10,000 points or something like that. So... But they're going to have one. It's another kind of, I think, online thing where they compare your scores to everybody else's, and there's prizes and stuff. And then after that, I think starting at 4, there's a luck of the draw. Darts Live, I've never seen one of these machines. They've only been in California. So I think Scotty Kirchner was posting he had to drive to Chicago yesterday or today and pick up the boards. I assume he's going to use a dolly and not just
actually pick them up,
move them because I'm thinking they're heavy.
Anyway,
Anyway, I'm going to go and check these boards out, and then we can do our little thing that we never got to, which is compare all the soft tip boards that we've seen. Because I know there's a couple that aren't here either.
Give you your ratings.
Yeah, we got to come up with something. But it's going to be at Bobbleheads Sports Bar and Grill.
Nice name.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
South 2709 Highway 51 in Janesville, Wisconsin. And we'll skip the zip code. So anybody interested in that, I'll post some info on the Dart Talk Facebook page, and you can always get a hold of Scotty Kirchner. He's running it, and he's all the information that you should want. But I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
The count-up thing sounds like,
something new.
Yeah, it's something new. Different challenge.
You haven't tried it?
Kind of like, that'd be all right. I mean, I got soft-tip darts now and everything.
Right. You might as well use them.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Do you use the same flights?
No, because my barrels are different lengths, so I had to change the whole setup.
Oh.
So now, because the barrels are shorter, I put on longer shafts, and then I was still using like the same flights, but I think I'm going to... Did I switch them? No, I switched to full size for those.
Why do you want shorter barrels? Or is it just...
Well, they came shorter. I mean, you can't just stretch them out like bubble gum. I mean...
You could have gotten it.
Well, no. Like the darts that I've designed that no one can make, the dimensions, the barrels are short. And so I always used a longer shaft on those. And then when I went to the James Wades, the Unicorn James Wades, where the barrels are longer... I had to go to a shorter shaft so I wouldn't, poke myself in the eye.
Scratch your glasses.
Yeah, and we also have to say who's got the perfect stroke. Did you do your homework?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you?
I did. Yeah.
Thumbs up? Don't say the name, but thumbs up?
Yeah, I thought he had a hitch.
No, he does have a hitch. I thought he had a hitch. You're just killing me.
I know.
We have.
But I did watch it, yes.
Did you? Okay. So do you concur?
Yes.
Okay. So we will name the American with the
perfect stroke.
Not the perfect stroke, but the stroke you would do well to emulate.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I looked at tape of literally 40 guys, and you could pick something out about everyone. So there's always, but when we get to this player, I will describe all the things he does that I find admirable and worthy of emulation. We'll see if any of the smartest chat room in the business can actually guess who we're talking about.
We've got a game.
We've got a game. Yeah, we have game. They updated the North American Professional Dart Alliance ratings.
Yes,
so I want to
did.
get to that. And it's not because I'm higher in these ratings than the ADO ratings, but the reason I find these superior is because it's structured a lot like the PDC Order of Merit. And the way that works is the money that you earn counts for 2 years. Now, the ADO ratings are weighted, but has nothing to do with how much money you actually win. So you could go to a tournament like 2 years ago at the Windy City Open. First place was $850, I think, which was the second highest singles prize money in the country that year. However, because there weren't that many players, you got way less points for winning that than you would have finishing top 32 in some other event.
How did the other
They
players
go by the money.
How do the other players rate comparatively between this and the ADO rankings?
For one,
you're higher on this one, but what about?
Well, then obviously some people are higher, some people are lower. Like number one on the NAPTA ratings is Darren Young,
Right?
Because they're counting money he's won that the ADO doesn't recognize, and then the ADO counts things like ADO regional qualifiers and stuff that these guys don't recognize. So it's I wouldn't say it's skewed, but their approach I think is more fair,
Right.
Because you're looking at who does the best in the big money tournaments, and those are the guys that should be at the top of the list. Like if you look at the PGA Tour, they just go by who's won the most money this year. And they'll also have a column how many tournaments you've played, because it's kind of funny. When Woods was going really good, he'd be at the top of the money list with like 8 tournaments. And, the guy in 10th place had
Played 20.
Yeah, played 22 tournaments, right? And, so whatever. So guys that want to check out the ratings, they can go to napda.net and check them out there. We'll read off the top 20, or you can read them off, and then we can make snarky comments about everybody.
Snarky comments. You want me to go from 20 to 1?
Yeah, go from 20 to 1. Who's 20th?
Bill Davis would be 20th.
Yeah, Bill Davis. I have not seen him since Indianapolis. I hope he's well.
We all hope he's well. We hope all these people are well.
He's a tall man. He'll probably be in Stanford.
Dan Olson would be 19th.
Right, Dan Olson, one of those really great, solid Canadian players. And that's the other thing about the ADO is they don't count Canadians at all. So they really jammed up Arachnid, because Arachnid went by the ADO point standings not knowing, because nobody told them, oh, by the way, the Canadians are off of it, right? So, yeah, way to go.
Steve Brown is 18th.
Yeah, Steve Brown has not been getting around as much as he used to. He's not going to as many tournaments. So if you don't go to any tournaments, it's going to be hard to get ranked. Right. I mean, there's just no way around it. It's not a reflection of, I wouldn't say 18's better than 20 or 20's better than 22, but it's a reflection on who's getting around and who's getting results, right?
Jason Barlow would be 17th.
Jay Barlow, 17th. I never call him Jason.
Well, that's the way it was printed.
Well, he's another one of these good Canadians that, Jason plays a lot in the States, but he also plays Canadian events too. So good for him.
Scott Wollaston, 16th.
Scott Wollaston, 16th. Timmy Bagley, 15th. See, now this is one of those things where I think both of those guys are ranked way higher in the ADO.
Okay.
Because if you get a couple of 100 points for playing ADO regionals that aren't going to be reflected in here. This is strictly based on the money you win. And then there's also a weighted system that I didn't really look it up. I looked it up when it first came out. I'm like, looks good to me. So I can't really explain it.
Right.
People can look that up on the napda.net website if they're curious how it's going there.
Gary Mawson.
Gary Mawson's 14th. I don't know. I haven't really – I talked to Gary for a while this year, and I think he's dying to get back to England. I don't know what's going to happen with that. He was playing on the PDC tour, and then things didn't go as well as he hoped, I'm sure. And then he didn't get through the qualifying school, so he's back in the States. But I'll bet you he's going to be back there pretty soon.
13th is John Kaczynski.
John Kaczynski.
At least I pronounced it right.
You did. Yeah, interesting about John, and that's the other thing about NAPTA. It doesn't count soft tip events. So I think John did pretty good at the bullshooter last week, but yeah, that stuff
doesn't count for these rankings.
Yeah, same with Chris White. If they counted all the money these guys were winning in Darts Live Asia, they'd be way higher. Oh, yeah, they'd be way higher.
Chris White is 12th.
Yeah, but Chris White won like $20,000 in Asia last year. So if they did a soft tip one, that would be totally weighted to whoever goes to the Darts Live Asia because that's where all the money is.
Yeah.
So what would be the point? Just look up the Darts Live standings and you'll know. Terry Hayhurst.
Even though it says 9th, he's 11th. It says 12, 9, 10, 9.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know.
I got to double check.
There's no 11.
Somebody's got a typo.
So it could be Sean Brenneman, who's 10th, really could be 11th, and there's a tie for...
No, because look at the points. Brenneman's up 60.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so Terry Hayhurst is 11th, and then the top 10's Sean Brenneman 10th, Brandon Rogers 9th, Gordon Dixon 8th, Jimmy Widmeyer 7th, I'm 6th. John Part is 5th, and I don't even know what he's played in North America. I just assumed he's just playing in England.
Had to play something.
Yeah, I don't know what. I'll have to look and see what he did. And then, the top four, basically the top four that have been the top four for a while, except for Gordon. I mean, Tom Sawyer's 4th, Bob Sneeves 3rd, because the ADO doesn't count all the stuff he does. And then Larry Butler's 2nd. And then Darren Young is like miles ahead of Larry. Last I looked, Larry was in front. So I'm thinking that it must be Darren winning the scratch that put him way over the top there. I mean, that's a big tournament.
Big tournament.
Yeah, it's big.
Was that last week?
That
was
weeks
ago?
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago that we mentioned it. So congrats to everybody there. Congrats to Darren. I didn't pull the audio of Darren saying he'd win,
right,
but I have it somewhere. So we may
have to play that.
Yeah, we may play that relatively soon. Let me get a sip of water. We'll do like a real quickie commercial, and we'll be right back.
T-bowing, insanity, planking, owling, Coney 2012. Trends spread across our nation as quick as wildfires, but fade even faster. If you or someone you know suffers from following trends, remember that no matter how hard you try to get rid of the evidence, chances are someone has proof. So the next time you think about jumping on a trend, remember how embarrassed you were when you found that video of your mom doing the Macarena. You're gonna have kids someday. Don't let that be you.
Okay, and we're back. That was quick.
Somebody's already guessed that the best stroke is not you.
Well, I don't know what to say about that.
They didn't put in a guess for who it was.
There's no way that, even if I thought I had the best stroke, which I don't, I would have to disqualify myself. Right. And we should talk about that, about objectivity. But we'll get to that. But there was a post from a soft tipper who couldn't get in the chat room last week. So let me explain to everybody, and then we'll have this on the podcast.
How to get in the chat room.
How to get in the chat room, because I did not know this. I found this out only recently, that I always post a link to the show, like on my Facebook page and on the Dart Talk Facebook page and whatnot. And if you click on the link, you can see the show, but you can't get in the chat. In order to get into the chat, you actually have to paste the link into your browser window, so you go out of Facebook and straight into Ustream. So I'll say this really slow for anybody that's listening that wants to get in the chat room. If you open up a web browser and you type in this URL, then you can see the show, and you'll have to log in to get in the chat. So you'll have to give them your email, and they don't spam you or anything like that. But if you go to ustream.tv/channel/dart and then a dash and then talk, that'll get you to our channel. And if you subscribe to it, then it should be easier. It'll kind of tell you when we're on air, I think, or something like that. So I don't subscribe because we're here.
Right.
But let's get that on the record. And then if for some reason, sometimes the chat thing doesn't work so well, it has to do with like server traffic and stuff, you can always email your comments to darttalk@gmail.com, and we'll try to get them in. We won't get them in real time because I don't check the email during the show, but we'll, if we miss something or we misspeak, by all means, we'll
let us
try
know.
To correct it. The following show, stuff like that.
We try to respond to all mail.
We do, and I'm relatively good about it.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks everybody for watching the video and downloading last week. We hit a new record.
Nice.
Our circulation went above 2,000 for the first time, so
all
that was
right.
like awesome. So everybody keep listening, and by all means, help our sponsors who help us, that help bring you the show, which would be the dartzone.com.
Stay in the zone.
The dartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. You can go to his website. If you see that he doesn't have what you're looking for, send him an email, because Bill's about as thorough a guy as I've ever met. He's extremely organized, and he does things in a very precise manner, which most dart players do. But he's like individually photographing all of this stuff, and it just takes him a long time. He's got a day job and everything. So he's got, like, somebody said, hey, I wanted some L-style stuff, and he didn't have it. He actually does have it. It's just not on his website. So if you email thedartzone.com and say, hey, this is what I want, he'll get back to you, and I'm sure he's got it. He's got practically everything I've ever seen.
You're a proponent for buying darts online anyway, right?
Well, yeah, I am. Actually, I think it's a smarter way to buy, and we should go into detail about how to do it, because some people I suspect are somewhat intimidated or a little fearful or a little tentative about buying darts online that they've never tried, and
which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it. I mean, actually buying the darts, I think is pretty simple. What you need to know in advance kind of what you want in terms of, like, what kind of barrel do you want? Do you want it front loaded? Do you want a straight barrel? What kind of knurling do you want, and how much do you want it to weigh?
Right.
The setups and everything are pretty standard. I mean, I went through, gosh,
how would you figure out, though, how much you want a dart to weigh?
Well, you look at the darts you have now, and you decide if you want them a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter. I mean, with soft tip, it's easy because there's, technically weight restrictions, right? So soft tip darts, generally, you buy them at 18 grams, and then when they're dressed, they're 20, and you don't go over any sort of limits they have. I wish they'd get rid of the limits. I don't see any reason to have them. I mean, the boards they're making now, I think, are made much better than the ones that they were making when they imposed this restriction. I mean, I'm very anti companies creating competitive rules, not based on competition, but based on their equipment,
right,
and stuff like that. Like the one thing about golf that really irked me was when they started making soft spikes mandatory.
Yeah,
because I swing hard. And if there was a little moisture on the ground, no matter what soft spikes they made, I was slipping and sliding. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to have to bleep that. But no, seriously. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? Really? And, okay, for most people, I guess it didn't really matter. But I found that extraordinarily bad. And golf is one of those things where the businesses kind of drive the competitive rules, which I've never bought into, like with the square grooves and everything. Like you spend 10 years learning how to hit out of the rough without generating a flyer, and then some guy just gouges it out with backspin because he bought a better game. I hate that.
Right.
No, but yeah, anyway, getting back to, the darts, I mean, beginners who are throwing steel darts should always have something like within 1 gram of 25 grams.
Okay.
I think anything more than 26 is probably you're getting to be too heavy, and the darts are going to be too clunky. And there's exceptions to everything, but generally...
As for beginners, though.
Yeah, for beginners, if your first set's 24 grams or 25 grams, I think you're good for about 18 months. And then, the more accurate you get, the lighter you can get. And people need to realize that if they're looking to improve their game, the heavier darts fly straighter. There's more inertia. behind the dart, all other things being equal. And go ahead and
Right.
send the emails and tell me I'm wrong, even though you won't convince me. But take a whack
But
at it. See
the
how
better
that
you
works
get,
out.
you say you go lighter darts.
Well, lighter darts have less of a margin for error. And so as you get more accurate, if you're finding that you want to throw harder, then you can go to lighter darts, because the lighter the dart, the more arm speed you need to throw it accurately. That's why for beginners, it's much easier to throw a heavier dart, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? And as you get a little more practice and you get your stroke down and you want to start really, throwing them with some authority, then you can go to like a 22.
Yeah.
21, 22 is about as low as I would recommend for steel. Even 23, if you went from 25 to 23, you'd be done. You wouldn't have to go any lighter.
Right.
Going down to 21, some of the places you play, some of these wind tunnels we play in, I was talking to Larry Butler made an interesting point, and he made it quite forcefully. Well, not forcefully, but
Vehemently.
I mean,
I believe would be the correct term.
He was, he was really kind of getting on a roll. And he was talking about how the PDC guys, the top PDC guys like Phil Taylor, always play under these impeccable conditions, and we don't. And when you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, like look at a pro golfer.
Sure.
Right? If he knocks one, and it bounces over the green, it's going to hit the gallery.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a 10-foot chip. You do that on a public course where the green's surrounded by hardpan, like in California. You're 75 feet from the green.
Right.
I mean, good luck with that.
Not only that,
you're looking at a triple.
They knock one into the stands. People look for their ball. You knock one out. You're never going to find your ball. You're looking for it by yourself.
Hey, I've played with people that would step on my ball and just look around like,
Yeah.
hey, found it yet? I mean, well, yeah. I mean, so of course, there are different conditions and everything, but these guys are the kings of the game. Now, that being said, if we could play under conditions like that, I'm sure we would play better than we do in some of the wind tunnels I've seen. I'm thinking of one tournament in particular where it was just like, you got to be kidding me. I won't say.
But everybody else has to play under those conditions too.
Well, yeah, and that's where the heavier darts
Right.
help you. The guys that throw harder and heavier darts are much less affected by something like that than somebody who throws, what you would call a finesse dart, right?
Yeah.
So, how did we get on this tangent anyway? Talking
Buying
about
on-
weight? Buying online.
Buying online
buying
darts.
online darts. So I would recommend to beginners that they stay with a straight barrel, and then it's just a matter of figuring out how grippy you want the dart, and you don't want it too grippy. I mean, there are darts that literally. I mean, the grooves are so deep. You don't want the dart sitting on your finger. You want it out. You want a nice, clean release. And the harder you grip the dart, the less knurl you actually want. If you have a very, very light grip, then you can go with a much grippier knurl than somebody who grips it firmly. If you're gripping it firmly, you almost want something like Terry Jenkins,
Smooth.
which is smooth, or like a very light, fine knurl, where the dart's not going to stick in your fingers when you're trying to get rid of it. And what do they teach fencers? Oh, they got this cliche. They say
That I would not know.
when you hold the sword, the épée or the rapier, whatever it is, because there's different kinds of swords.
Right.
They have saber, they have épée, and they have rapier, I think, in the Olympics. Whatever. I'm not a fencer. What they tell you when you start fencing is they'll say you hold it like a bird, right? You have to hold it firm enough where it doesn't fly away, but not so tight that you kill the bird.
Okay.
And I'm kind of thinking, darts are somewhat similar, right? Darts is more like your right-hand grip on a golf
Hi, my
club.
name's Jay Barlow. I'm from Stratford, Ontario.
Hi,
and
Jay.
you're listening
Hi,
to
Jay.
Dart Talk.
Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks for chiming in there, Jay. My elbow must have hit something. No, you see what I'm
Maybe
saying,
that's
though?
a sign.
Yeah. Is it time for a commercial already? Oh, my gosh. Let me just finish this thought, which was what?
Gripping the darts.
Well, right, because like in a golf grip, you grip it way, way, way more firmly in your left hand, and your right hand is just sort of along for the ride because that has to release. It's the same with darts. I mean, if you grip the dart too tight, you're not going to let go of it. If you grip it too loose, you're not going to be able to control it. So I hate to say touchy-feely, but that's kind of what you're going at with the grip. And depending on how tight you grip it, that's going to determine what sort of knurl you want. So it's pretty easy. I mean, if you're playing darts, I mean, try other people's darts and see what grip you like. And then they're easy to find online. You just go and click on the picture.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how hard can that be? So yeah, I'm not thinking buying darts online is hard at all. But you need to know. I guess we have to.
You just have to have a general idea what you want.
Yeah, we have to tell people how to choose what it is that they want and, what their goals are and stuff. And I sound like I'm rambling, but to me it's pretty simple. Let's do a quick minute commercial. We'll be right back.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Been doing like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah.
Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about. Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. So think before you post.
Why can't guys just ask us out? They have to pretend like it's a coincidence that we both want to see a movie. Or say, let's just go hang out. Of course I'm going to say yes to that. I want to go hang out with a friend. But it gets weird when that friend tries to kiss me. I don't need one more guy in my life trying to have sex with me.
Please. I love it how girls act like they don't know the code. Like they don't know what hang out means. You agree to go to the movies with me. I show up bearing flowers. I pay for the movie. And the second I go in for a kiss, it's all, oh, we're just friends, right? Yeah, I asked you out because I need one more girl in my life who won't have sex with me.
Grow some balls.
Stupid.
Hi, this is Shay Reynolds.
And Jason Smith.
From Newport Richey, Florida.
And you're listening to Dart Talk.
Okay, we're back for the second half. Hi to everyone in the chat room. Smartest chat room in the business. John Part won the singles in Vegas. That's where he got his NAFTA points. So thanks for that, Chris. Where were we? Buying online darts?
Yeah. Were we done? Or do you have more to say about that?
Look, I can talk about this stuff objectively, but, we do have a sponsor who sells online darts. So I want to make sure everybody understands that it's like, how do you put this, right? I mean, we don't do infomercials.
Right.
We talk about the stuff that comes across our desk, and I always envision the show as being more about and for players. Right, like when I first started it, like almost a year ago now, I remember talking to somebody, and I forget which pro player and what pro sport was having some sort of issue with the media, and I was like, this is garbage. I'm like, if you watch baseball or football, the announcers are hired by the team. They're approved by the league. Nobody's allowed to really say what they really want to say.
Right.
Stuff like that. And then you look at a guy who tweets something and he gets suspended or he gets fined. And there's all this like corporate, there's a layer of corporate
law.
BS above all the players. And I'm like, if the players had their own network, like Major League Baseball has their own network, the NFL has their own network, tennis, hockey, they all have their own network. Right? If the players had a network where the players just said, hey, this is what we think, and la-di-da-di-da, that's the one I'd watch. Right? If players
They'd still have rules against it, though.
Well, if players could say whatever they wanted, then look at the PGA Tour. Like, even though they're all independent contractors, the PGA can fine them for anything they say or what have you. And I was just thinking, it'd be great if the players had their own show. The players had their own channel. So that's kind of how this show came about. And we basically talk about the stuff players talk about. And we talk about the players. And, we haven't interviewed anybody lately, but it's because Chris White won't come on the show. Hi, Chris. So anyway, when we started the show, I got a barrage of people saying, can I come on the show and talk about this? Can I come on the show and talk about this? Can I come on the show and talk about this? And I was like, look, I have no problem with if a player's got a charity he wants to, talk about, that's great. If you're a business and you're a profit-making entity, then I don't feel like you should be coming on the show talking about your profit-making entity, right? If you want to buy commercial time, hey,
have at it.
Have at it. We'll run a commercial for you. I'll help you do it and everything, and life will be good. But you have to draw a line between, you know, the commercial stuff and the other stuff. Like I gave you some Cosmo flights and you liked them.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't like L Style. I used L Styles for a long time. I don't want to get into that stuff. I mean, I'm not recommending anybody do anything that I wouldn't say to anyone else just sitting around. Like, well, you should try this. Try longer shafts. Try shorter shafts. I mean, I'm not shilling for anybody, right?
True.
I'm technically not an affiliated player, so I can talk freely about this stuff, but I kind of stay away from it because so many people have, you know, kind of, you know, they're sponsored by this guy, they're sponsored by this guy. It's like, oh, great. You know, the players need to get as much sponsorship as they can, whoever it comes from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I stay away from stuff like that. When it comes to doing like the commercials and stuff, I wonder if the video's stuttering. When it comes to the commercials or stuff, like Sweeble said, can you talk about this tournament, this new thing? Okay, that's news. I'll put that on. But you know, we can't be running ads for free for everybody when
promoting everything.
Well, yeah, especially if you know they're out to make money.
Yeah.
Like there was a guy doing software, and I was like, okay, you want to buy a commercial? Well, no, I want to come on your show and talk about my software. Well, what is that? You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So we have an editorial policy. And, you know, I'll just restate it for everybody. If you have a charity event or you're doing something newsworthy, drop a line to darttalk@gmail.com, and we'll try to make an announcement. You know, it's a one-time thing.
Right.
You know, if you're doing a tournament 9 months from now, you're going to have to remind me because I'm going to forget because it's not news 9 months in advance. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm not going to do that. So anyway.
That is our editorial policy. In a nutshell.
We all agreed.
Yes.
We all agreed on this.
We all agreed
you were
at
in
the production
meeting
meeting.
on Sunday, so don't make me the bad guy.
No, we all agreed at the production meeting.
Right? I mean, you know, people don't realize how much time and effort goes into this thing. I mean, I know it sounds like me just yapping, but I take notes.
That takes effort.
We write
for you
stuff
to yap.
down and everything. So, anyway, where were we now? Are we done with the editorial policy?
Yes, we are.
I think we're done with it.
I think we can move on.
We have to talk about online play.
Okay.
Right?
Well, we just did a little bit, but
well, okay, but there is now you got people in soft tip machines where the machines are rigged now where you can pretty much play somebody who's on another of the same make machine anywhere in the world.
Right.
You know, I mean, if it's 7 o'clock at night in Chicago, I don't know, it's, 4 in the morning in Shanghai.
But if they're playing darts.
Well, I mean, maybe they'll be pretty tired by then. So you probably have an advantage.
Better chance of winning.
So you're always better playing somebody west of you, I think. I don't know. But there are people that literally, they get on Skype, they point their laptops at the board, and they play each other. Well, okay, I can kind of see that. There are also now online leagues that you put in stats and everything. And, I mean, I wanted to get Frank Detman on because he's been begging me to get on this thing. I go back and forth on it. It's good to have somebody to practice with. It's always good to have somebody to practice with. But, I mean, whatever you throw in your basement or whatever you throw in your living room, it's awfully hard to take that somewhere else.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm practicing at home, my board is up against a wall, right? If I go into a tournament, though, there's much more like space behind the board than I am at home, so it always looks further away.
But aren't you getting part of the competitive atmosphere by doing it that way? At least you're instead of just throwing darts by yourself in your basement.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's like it's probably a good idea to do, but I wouldn't get too wrapped up in like, ooh, I'm first.
I'm
or
winning
second
my online darts league.
You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, of course you want to win, and of course you want to play well, and you want to compete with whoever shows up, and la-di-da-di-da. I mean, I get that. There's just that extra little ego boost that I think is a trap. You know what I mean? If you're doing really good in your little virtual leagues or online leagues, but you're not used to actually standing next to somebody and playing, I think you're in big trouble come tournament time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, are these people actually using these online leagues to try and get better for tournament time, or are they doing
The guys
it?
I've talked to have,
Are they?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or are they just trying to do it just to play some darts and have a match against somebody instead of pretending in your basement?
Jeff Smith is doing it, and he's preparing to play the PDC Tour.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, he's one guy that does it. There's a guy in Michigan that he swears by this. He's been begging me to play this for months. And I don't know even where I'm going to put the laptop. I mean, logistically, it's a nightmare, and then I don't want to trip over the cord or what have you. But I've got cats running around my feet when I try to play at home. I mean, so when it comes to practice, I just want to get out, you know. However,
couldn't you take a laptop to where you practice if they had Wi-Fi, and then do it, and then you'd be practicing?
Yeah, in theory, I could.
Yeah.
In theory, I totally could do that. And then, maybe I should do that. I don't know what the Wi-Fi like at Will's is pretty bad.
Right.
The Wi-Fi at Murphy's is horrible. So I don't know quite logistically. Maybe I'll try that and see. But I know somebody in particular wanted us to talk about this, and I gave it some thought, and I'm kind of like, well, with the technology that's available now, I wonder how practical it is. Like if you actually took it out and set it up somewhere else, and you got used to it, I wonder how close to the real thing.
To a tournament.
Doing the quotes thing. How close to a real thing that would be.
Right.
Right? Because when you think about it, there's a lot of advantages to it. Like they want to do this count-up thing in Wisconsin on Saturday, where they're going to, you have one score, and they just rank it with everybody else who did it, and that kind of virtual competition, I kind of like that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like it's hard if you're going to do something virtual where you got two people playing under different conditions, but they're going to end up getting the same score. I'm like,
You're on the fence.
No, I'm not on the fence. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
That is the nature of competition, is that you play the same field.
Right.
You don't rig your home field, and then I'm going to play there, and then you rig your home field, and you're going to play there. Although I will quote John Part, where the nice thing is you can control the music. Because I don't know how many times I've been in places where I just want to unplug the jukebox.
Yeah.
I mean, enough of the Red Solo Cup. I mean, it was funny the first time, but I mean, I can't. I don't know how much more of that I can really take.
It probably won't be around much longer.
You think?
Well, it's getting old. New songs come about. They disappear.
Well, what's the next one?
Yeah. Well, it'll probably be just as annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just sort of. Wow, did you hear that?
Yeah,
What was
motorcycle.
that? Living in the big city.
Yeah.
Do we need to say anything more about that? I mean, it's just sort of, it strikes me as something that has a lot of potential.
Right.
But
just like everything else, it needs to be tweaked.
Well,
or there needs to be.
When you think about it, you talk about, because there are people that promote darts that listen to the show. You could literally have some huge matches. If you did it correctly, you could do this 4-man stuff. Have a team in California. Remember, I don't know if you did the show or if it was my ex-co-host, where I basically made the statement that if you put a team of Midwesterners together, they'd beat everybody. They'd beat a team from the South, from the Mid-Atlantic, from the Deep South, from New England, from California. We'd just kill everyone.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
it wouldn't
I don't think I was
wouldn't
around
even
then.
be close. It really wouldn't be close. And you could rig something like this pretty easily with this virtual technology, right? You get a 4-man team from Chicago, and we'll take on a 4-man team from New York. We'll beat them bloody. We'll brag about it. I'll come on the show and say how we schooled them. And then we'll wait for a team from Boston to take us on.
Wait for the next challenge.
Well, but you don't have to spend $3,000 in airfare.
Right.
Right?
You're talking about starting a worldwide dart league.
I'm not talking about starting anything. I mean, I throw these ideas out from time to time, hoping somebody will run with them. But that's the potential I see in the online thing, is you can stage, kind of big productions in separate locations. Did you ever see Scrooged with Bill Murray?
Of course.
Right, we've got John Houseman, and then we got somebody in Helsinki, and then Mary Lou Retton's over here, and we're going to have somebody in Jerusalem. You could do these like dart-wide things that would actually, I would think, be pretty cool.
Sure.
Right? And you don't have to travel that much. It's, I would think, extremely inexpensive compared to if you tried to do this 30 years ago.
But you still have to worry about a level playing field for each team.
Well, like this board that shot out the
line.
The line where if you go over it, it's like a bowling alley.
Yeah.
Zzz,
a foot fault.
Yeah, foot fault.
Yeah.
Your darts don't count. I mean, I suppose that there's always ways to cheat, but I mean, darters aren't like that. You know, darters will pretty much play you straight up. You're going to rig something. I mean,
put your line a quarter-inch closer to the board.
Well, I told you about
really
that one place
anyway?
where these guys put the line an inch and a half closer, thinking it would give them an advantage.
Right.
And there was an issue about. Did we talk about foot faults last week?
No.
Somebody was calling foot faults at the bullshooter, and it's no need to mention any names. I talked to about 5 people about it, and apparently somebody's foot was so egregiously over the line that somebody had to say something. Well, that's why you need an Aki.
Yeah.
Because looking down at tape is like, enough's enough. I mean, Jay Barlow cracks me up. Jay Barlow travels with his own dry erase marker, his own chalk, and his own flare marker. So when he has to chalk his own matches, he can see what he's doing, right? And I'm like, maybe professional darters, somebody should invent like a portable Aki that you could plop down when you go to these places that have a piece of tape. So you don't have to deal with looking down and looking at the tape, then looking up and all that stuff. I mean, usually tournaments, you're playing on standards and it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But, I mean, we have to start insisting on Akis. Let's take one quick minute and a half break, and we'll be right back.
When you buy something you don't need just because it's on sale, you're not actually saving money. Think about it.
I'm Chiquita Banana, and I've come to say bananas have to ripen in a certain way, and when they're flecked with brown and have a golden hue, bananas taste the best and are the best for you. You can put them in a salad. Please? No, not yet, my dear. That greenish way you're looking means that you are ripe for cooking. How about me? No, no. When you are fully ripe, my dear, those little flecks of brown appear. Me? You're most digestible, my friend. Delicious, too, from end to end. You can put them in a pie, any way you want to eat them. It's impossible to beat them. But bananas like the climate of the very, very tropical equator. So you should never put bananas in the refrigerator. Bananas are a solid food that doctors now include in baby's diet. And since they are so good for baby, I think we all should try it. See.
Hi, I'm John Kaczynski from Zion Grove, Pennsylvania, and I'm listening to Dart Talk.
Okay, we're back for the fourth quarter. We're having a hard time. There seems to be more people in the chat room than are actually watching the show. So we're trying to figure out how they do the math.
How that's
on
possible.
That. Yeah. So, and by the way, I did talk to a couple of people. If I look over at the chat and make a face, I'm not necessarily dissing anybody. You guys got some funny stuff in there that I won't be repeating, but I got a kick out of it. Okay, so the fourth quarter, we're going to identify the...
We're going to start our little game. Guess who you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. We'll see if anybody in the chat room can see who we're talking about. So I looked at, 35, 40 players. And it's sort of funny. When I went to college, they had opened our basketball team was number 1 in the country, but they had one spot open. So they kind of posted something, and they said, hey, open tryouts. There's one spot open on the team. It's 1 o'clock Saturday, show up. and Ray Meyer was the coach.
Okay.
And somebody asked him, one of the news people asked him, I did not make the team, by the way. One of the people asked him, so what do you do? And he says, well, the first thing I did was cut everybody with black socks. So, we had to adopt some sort of criteria. So
out of the 40 or so that you watch.
So anybody that kind of gets up on their tippy toes when they're releasing or has like a lot of extraneous motion, we got rid of them right away. And then we got rid of anybody's stroke who was so idiosyncratic that it would be difficult for somebody to copy it.
Okay.
You with
Makes
me
sense.
so far?
Yeah. So what'd that get you down to?
That got us down to about 17, if memory serves.
All right.
Then I started looking at head movement and follow-through. And anybody who had a lot of head movement or had an inconsistent follow-through, we got rid of them.
All right.
That left 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
From 17 to 4 with inconsistent follow-through.
Well, and by inconsistent, it's not that they're not great players. But, if you watch the tape over and over, and luckily YouTube has a lot of tape, and you look at somebody who's releasing it one way on one dart, and then the next dart they're not, and then the third dart's a third way, but then the next 3 darts are all the same, you can see some inconsistency that's stroke related.
Right.
Okay.
And we're talking about trying to emulate somebody.
Yeah, we're talking about somebody that you can point to and say, look, you've been playing for a couple of months, you really like the game. Take a look at this guy.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And I asked, I don't know how many people I asked about this. And I remember I asked Kim Abbott, who was telling me about some guy 25 years ago that, I've never heard of. And I'm like, well, Kim, I need somebody that I could point to today. Right?
Right.
Doesn't, I mean, if somebody's not out there to see, it doesn't do much good to point to them, even if, the guy was fantastic. And there's a lot of, if you talk to any of the old-timers, there's a lot of guys that oh, this guy was great, and la-di-da-di-da, and la-di-da-di-da, but they don't play anymore, and I've never seen tape of the guy. You see tape of some of these people from, like, the 90s, and you say to yourself, well, he doesn't look that good,
I don't know. I've never seen any tape of these guys from the 90s.
But you did do your homework. You did see the one tape that I asked you to look at.
So
okay.
which comes to the point of what does this guy do so well?
Okay. When the one thing that really struck me about player X is that player X looked so square to the board from start to finish on his stroke that I really had to freeze frame and look at him for about 5 minutes. And he doesn't stand sideways, but what he does is he brings his back shoulder back enough to give himself a straight line from shoulder to arm, which if you stand exactly sideways and try to do that, it's physically painful.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of guys, they'll let their left shoulder drift in, and the lines look bad. You look bad at the line, and you look bad even if you try to, like, bow back and stuff. So if you look at Chris White, Chris has a very relaxed, natural-looking stance, and he's looking down the line the whole time. But this guy, compared to most of the other people I saw, looked so much more solid and so much squarer to the board that I was admiring him before he even threw. The second thing I noticed about him, and you keep checking now and then, see if anybody guesses. I guess we could give him a prize, but
yeah, it'll be in the mail.
It depends who wins. No, I got prizes.
Oh, do you?
I do now. The second thing that I liked was that, and it's a male, just so you know. When he set the dart up, his arm was at a perfect right angle.
Yeah.
Which I've always thought is exactly the way you should do it. Like the James Wade thing where he tries to set it up at the release point, I don't think that would work for me. It's everybody can get their arm at a right angle. Not everybody, kind of has the same
Release
dimensions
yeah.
and everything like that. And some people have a delayed release, and some people don't. I'm not going to get into that, but so I really liked that. The third thing I liked was that he brought the dart to his eye and not to the side of his head, like an American, which I am convinced is not the way to play. I'm convinced that if you keep the dart in front of your face, you will be a much better player in the long run than if you bring it by your ear, like you're throwing a football.
Right.
Right. So, and, plenty of people can play better than me and bring the dart to the side of their face. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong, because we got some contentious people in the chat room that like to argue. That was it. The other thing was I watched about 45 minutes, and every single release was the same, and his follow-through had complete full extension, which the combination of that, I'm like, there's really nothing you can fault. And if you want it, if you look at a really good stroke, it looks so simple. Like if you look at Raymond van Barneveld, it just looks simple. They make it look like anybody can do it. I'm like, oh, well, that's all you do?
Well, the good ones always do that.
Exactly. And that was kind of the last thing where I kind of looked at it and I was like, man, that's just beautiful. It's just beautiful watching that, So,
oh, nobody's got it yet.
Nobody's got it?
No.
Anybody in the chat room want to guess? We'll give you about a minute. So what do you think
Can we
about
give them
that?
any hints?
Nah, don't give them any hints. I've given them plenty of hints. You saw the tape. What did you think?
Oh, I mean,
anything
he's
to
good.
add?
I don't have anything to add on what
I didn't told you he was
I didn't
good.
study it for 5 minutes and
did you have any
pause it and I just watched it.
Do you have any sort of impressions? Anything strike you as being remarkable in one way or another?
No, not really. But that's kind of I don't study the act of throwing darts, so I don't really have anything to base it on.
Okay, I'm trying to think. There was one flaw that I noticed, and I've seen it in other people, but it's sort of weird. I mean, like Jockey Wilson had this flaw where his head would move as soon as he let go of the dart, but like the commentators would say, well, that's okay because the dart's already out of his hand, and I'm like thinking, really?
I thought he moved his elbow in.
Who?
A little bit.
Jockey Wilson?
No, the guy that we're talking about.
Well, the elbow swing is the one thing that I looked at and I'm like, man, you really don't want to do that. But that's what happens with rhythm players. If somebody is a rhythm player, they'll time that movement and be fairly consistent with it every time. Whereas if you look at somebody like Van Barneveld does it, he swings his elbow in right before he throws. And I've seen other guys do that. I'm of the opinion that all movement is bad, so
right.
Why don't you just set your arm where it's supposed to be and leave it? Duh. But
well, it's hard to argue when he moves his elbow in and he hits it every time.
Well, and that's one of the things. You look at some of the flaws of the great players. By the time they realized they had a flaw, they were a great player, so why change it? If you're going to take Albert Pujols and get a new hitting coach, he's going to be like, well, Albert, here's the way you should do it. The guy look at him like, are you kidding me? I'm already in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Well, I don't need to change anything.
And that's why they fired their hitting coach.
Well, could you blame them?
No.
But seriously, I mean, it's like, okay, if everything is working, don't change it. However, if you're looking to improve, these are some of the things that it's not you, Colleen. These are some of the things that, if you look at your own game and you focus on some of these things, maybe you can find something that a little bit of a tweak will help you. That was the whole idea, behind doing this segment. So congratulations to our the second phase of the Building a Perfect Darter.
Right.
Where we awarded
Do we want to recap
stance,
who wants the first, which somebody already said in the chat room?
We decided the best stance was Darren Young.
Right.
So we disqualified Darren from having the best stroke to emulate.
Great White says Mawson or Lim, but should be DJ or me.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I like about Chris. And actually, Chris is right. Chris did get the person with the best stroke out of those four. And I'll give you a hint, it's not Chris.
Or DJ.
Or Gary Mawson. No, we gave it to Paul Lim. And congratulations, Paul. I'll have to make sure he sees a tape of the show, and maybe he'll straighten me out if I said anything mistaken, like
Right.
Ronnie Baxter did when I was talking about Ronnie Baxter.
Exactly.
But anybody can, see a lot of Paul Lim on YouTube. I looked at a lot of old Paul Lim from like the 90s, and I also looked at some of his latest work at the Darts Live Asia. All that stuff is on Ustream, and you can find it on YouTube and stuff. So congratulations to Paul, and we can move on next week to the fun stuff.
We got fun stuff?
Oh, we can start talking about the mental game.
Oh.
Because, in order to be a perfect darter, you've got to have...
You have to be mental?
You have to have mental acuity, and you've got to have character, and you've got to have some heart. So that whole list, we're going to go through. What's it taken, 2 months, and we've only gotten stance and stroke?
So by the end of July, we'll have our perfect mental dart player. Is that what you're saying?
God, I hope it's not going to take that long, because I don't know if I could take much more of this.
Right.
We're going to have to talk about segregation some more, but we're not going to have time this week because that's a big subject. You got anything? You good?
Not that I could think of.
Okay.
I got nothing to add to the show.
Okay, well, next week, I don't know if next week we're going to do the soft tip rating systems for the boards, but it's going to be coming pretty soon. I need to get somebody who's thrown on one of these Phoenix boards, and then there's one called Trinity that I've never seen. So we're going to have to get we're going to have to solicit some other opinions on these boards and do some comparisons. But at least I've seen the Sheltie, the Arachnid, and I'm going to see the Darts Live this week. So hopefully we can have something relevant to say about those. And then we'll have results and everything and some more news next week. We're also, just down the line, we've got some features that we're working on. So those are going to come in good. And then we're going to have to figure out what to do for the anniversary show. Our first guest was Larry Butler. So maybe Larry
will come
will
back on?
I don't know. We'll have to ask him. He may. And I don't know. We'll do it. We won't do it live. I'll talk to Larry and see if he'll come on. He hasn't been on in a while. And I would like to actually get Chris White on the show sometime.
Do we want to say when the actual anniversary is?
Well, it is the 23rd of June was our very first show, but I don't know what day of the week the 23rd is. And then your first show is actually, so we could do another anniversary like at the end of the year. Because didn't we do one? We did one after Christmas, and then we didn't tape it. So the first show that we have is January 4th. But I know we did a show before that, I don't know, we forgot to tape it, or
That's
I don't know
possible.
what happened. Yeah, whatever. Somebody heard it.
We forgot a lot of stuff back then.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Anything else?
Good luck this weekend, and anybody else playing.
Okay, yeah. Safe travels to everybody,
Yeah.
and we will Dart talk to you next week. Everybody take care.
Thanks for listening.
All right.